Today I'll be reviewing Pokemon Aim to be a Pokemon Master Episode 3, Brock, Cilan, and the Forest Witch. In this episode, Ash and Misty continue their journey where we get the return of Brock and Cilan for the first time in ages. Not much happened to move the plot forward, but I do still want to talk about some things that I thought were interesting. So getting right into it, the episode starts off with Ash and Misty in Stow-on-Side Town in Galar, and the two of them decide that they should have lunch since Ash is hungry, and while eating they notice that the sandwiches taste familiar, and that's when they find out that Brock is actually the one who made them, and that he's dedicating his life to working for the sandwich lady. But then he finds out that she's not only taken but she's also married, which leads to him getting depressed and not wanting to do anything, even after Ash tries to motivate him. So then Cilan, who's passing through, shows up, and Ash introduces him to Misty, and he says that he's heard of the three cerulean sisters, but Misty isn't included in that, which leads to Cilan referring to her as a spare, which I thought was funny. So then Cilan introduces himself as a Pokemon connoisseur and does a Psyduck evaluation, which Misty doesn't care too much for and brushes off. After that, Ash tries to introduce Brock, but Cilan says that he already knew him from the Black and White special where they met, and said that they were watching the finals together, which I thought was a cool reference to a few episodes back. So after realizing that Brock is going through another heartbreak, Cilan suggests that they go to a field of flowers, but when they do, Brock instantly thinks of the lady he lost and his heartbreak returns. Then as Brock gets more depressed, the Hatterene draws him in with an illusion, which forces Ash, Misty, and Cilan to chase him into the forest. From this point on, the episode's main focus becomes getting Brock back from Hatterene, so we get the return of detective connoisseur Cilan, and Ash gets the help of a Hatena, who's able to read his mind to help him search for Brock, who was being tortured by Hatterene. One of my favorite moments during the search is when Misty gets scared of a Joltik and freaks out, so Ash has to tell Cilan about her fear of bug types, which leads to Cilan asking if she's scared of water and bug types like Dewpider, which I thought was an interesting question, and Misty just says that that's a tough one. It makes you wonder if we could see Misty get over her fear of bug types through an encounter with a bug and water type, which I think would be a great way for her to overcome her fear. So after they get fooled by Hatterene and shocked free by Pikachu, they eventually find Brock, but since he's under Hatterene's control, they end up having to battle both him and Hatterene, but eventually Brock snaps out of it to heal Hatena, which in turn leads to Hatterene calming down and making peace after understanding how they feel. We also get to see Latias, who's once again watching overhead, as Ash helps to solve another problem with people and Pokemon. Afterwards, we see the four of them traveling together, and Brock says that he still has a lot to learn, so he'll travel with Ash to give his heart some training. Then Ash talks about tasting Cilan and Brock's food again, but Cilan tells him that he has to attend an event with Ingo and Emmett, so he'll be going back to Univille. So then they wish each other best wishes as they separate, while Ash, Brock, and Misty continue on their adventure together. And with that, the episode ends. This was a nice episode with us getting the return of Brock and Cilan, who we haven't seen in a while. I really enjoyed the interactions with Misty and Cilan. The two of them had a nice dynamic because of how different each character is. My favorite moment in the episode was definitely when Cilan asked her about bug and water type Pokemon, since it makes you wonder how that would actually go, which I hope we get to see before the series ends. When it comes to the overall plot, unlike with the last two episodes, there's not much I can actually say about how it relates to Ash and his growth and path to becoming a Pokemon Master. Aside from the fact that we saw him end another problem with people and Pokemon, there isn't much to actually say since we've already seen him do that plenty of times before. The one thing that makes this different is that Latias has been observing him the entire time, which I think will lead to it helping Ash later on down the line, and possibly Ash catching it as his first non-mythical legendary Pokemon. It'll be interesting to see how that plotline gets wrapped up. With that being said, I give this episode a 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it completely, but it didn't move the plot at all in my opinion, because we've seen Ash do this kind of thing before. Be sure to leave me your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and bye.